Hello and welcome to episode 18 of From A to Global Z. I'm your host, Dr. Bill Lord. For episode 17, I explored the concept of pivoting from one's traditional mission statement in order to help those in need using the skills and knowledge available to you and your organization. And the bottom line is pivoting to help others can result in a win-win for all involved. At the end of episode 17, I declared episode 18 would be devoted toward reviewing the processes we will use to run our Phase 2 North American Indigenous Music Project, which is one of our traditional virtual audio production projects. You think I would have learned by now not to announce what the new episode will be about. Once again, COVID dictates we feature another topic of timely need, how to conduct safe audio production practices during a pandemic. So why the change in plan, you may ask? I've recently received great news. Global Z is being funded for a unique grant proposal, and as part of the project, we need to set up a bunch of audio production recording gear at a number of locations. Once COVID stabilizes, an unknown number of individuals will record themselves using this gear, and as such, our greatest concern is how to protect each project participant from acquiring the coronavirus by being in close proximity to microphones being used by a variety of people. But before we dive in, it's mic talk time. Today I'm featuring a highly regarded multi-pattern cardioid condenser microphone from SE Electronics, the SE4400A. All SE mics I've used all the ones I've had the pleasure of using are built really well, and this mic is no exception. The body is metal with a dense rubbery coating that fits comfortably in the hand. And for you audio geeks out there, it has a pad switch, a two-way high-pass filter, and the ability to choose either an omnidirectional, figure of 8, cardioid, or hypercardioid polar pattern. The mic is often described as being highly versatile and neutral sounding, and these are traits many audio engineers consider to be desirable. As far as what comes in the box, the mic ships with a well-made shock mount and hard case, and very nice. And most of the mics we feature on From A to Global Z tend to be in the sub $200 range. The 4400A is an exception as it has a street price of about 500 buckaroos. If you have the cash, this would be a really nice mic to have in your toolkit. Give it a listen, see what you think. Now, let's keep talking about keeping folks safe. If you're trying to find a way to disinfect your mics and audio interfaces to protect your recording artists from the spread of germs while at the same time not destroy your gear, this episode is for you. Finding ways to clean audio interfaces it's pretty simple. Mics, not so much. I guess, that also depends on the type of mic you want to disinfect. So, for instance, common mics, popular mics like the SM5857 or something like the SEV7, they can be pretty readily cleaned, but not without taking them apart and requiring them to sit overnight, which takes them out of circulation. I really struggled with finding a way to record using a condenser mic, then easily disinfect it without damaging the diaphragm and electronics and getting it back to work in the studio as soon as possible. I scoured the internet looking for solutions to this conundrum, and I reviewed my favorite audio production YouTube channels, conducted extensive Google searches. I even went as far as to contact a couple of mic manufacturers and distributors to try to get their take on the situation, and was definitely hitting a wall of frustration as the criteria I had established for a recording need was not being met. So these criteria are as follows. Incorporate a solution that has a high level of success in preventing the spread of COVID-19. Incorporate a solution that is quick and easy to implement. Incorporate a solution that is highly affordable. The solution is safe to those applying the treatment. The solution does not damage any components of the microphone. The solution does not impede the ability to record high-quality audio. The solution may be applied to a range of microphones, and the process may be easily duplicated. Now, initially, I was thinking of placing a pop filter between the artist and the mic, then finding some non-toxic solution that could be applied by misting the mic in the filter, hopefully not damaging the mic. And I knew that finding such a solution was also unlikely, or kind of maybe perhaps not. Surprisingly, Deity Microphones has a video that illustrates how applying this very approach will work if you carefully mist a mic equipped with a foam windscreen using your favorite household aerosol disinfectant spray. This solution looked really promising to me, and looks like it works pretty brilliantly for producers using shotgun mics that have that foam windscreen that fits snugly over the mic. However, for our project, we prefer to use a variety of studio condenser mics. As such, applying the Deity strategy would mean we'd be restricted to using only mics equipped with tightly fitting foam windscreens. There's just not a lot of studio condensers that ship with foam windscreens. And so anyway, that said, thanks to Deity, at least we knew we had an option that we could possibly work with. I was determined, though, to sleuth around a bit more to try and find a more optimal solution to our particular need. And I'm glad I did, as I stumbled upon a big and unexpected surprise. Eventually, I found a PDF document published by Neumann titled Protecting and Cleaning Neumann Microphones. The document was developed in order to reduce the risk of spreading diseases through bacteria and viruses by offering several protection and cleaning options. One such option is highly unique indeed. Stick a trash bag over your mic while recording. Yeah, so the manufacturer of the venerated, celebrated, and classic and pricey U87 large condenser mic was talking about recording audio with a cheap plastic bag over their microphones. Now, this wasn't their preferred solution, but it was, they still listed it as an option. And they even did something really nice, which is they put down some for comparison several frequency response plots, and like one plot showed the frequency response without a bag, one of them with the bag, and wow, this was a total shocker. It was totally unexpected, but it was really cool. So does the bag have an impact on the frequency response? And to be sure, yes, it does. However, it impacts the quality of the recording far less than I would have ever expected. And it was totally mind-blowing how little it, in fact, impacted the quality of the recording. If I could stick a mic in a bag, or a bag over the mic, and record an artist, then disinfect and carefully discard the bag, place a clean bag over the mic for the next artist, then repeat as needed, my problems will be solved. Granted, I'm not wild about contributing to the global plastic problem we have, but unfortunately, COVID calls for taking unusual measures to ensure personal safety. I decided to put this innovative concept to the test, so I took a series of 5 microphones, 3 were condenser mics and 2 were dynamic mics, and recorded my voice by applying several different bag and non-bag setups. The different setups were as follows: a mic with a pop filter and bag, mic with just bag, mic with just pop filter, and just a mic with no filtration or barrier whatsoever. The results were really astonishing. And by the way, if you're not a mic geek and do not know the difference between a condenser mic and a dynamic mic, in a nutshell, they convert sound waves into electric voltage in technologically different ways. We don't really need to worry about those kinds of details here. Just know, in my brief experiment, while the dynamic mics worked fine under some conditions, once bags were applied to them, the condenser mics consistently turned in a more favorable result. While the experienced ear can discern subtle differences captured using a variety of setups used, the audible differences were sometimes subtle. But wow, what really surprising results. It was so cool. There's a few important things I want you to keep in mind if you plan to try this solution. First, you'll want to use as thin a plastic bag as possible. I found and I used a 6-micron bag, which it's really thin, even for trash bags. It's a 6-micron 4-gallon trash bag. The good news is they're really quite cheap. I found a box of 2,000 for just over $30. So that's a lot of bags for a little price. You do want to apply the bag loosely over the mic. Don't try to fit the bag snugly around the mic. Rather, ensure you leave a bit of air around the capsule. Next, you want to finally make test recordings in advance to ensure you're going to get the results needed for your particular project. Try recording with a bag, one without. In my case, I even added a metal pop filter to the mix just for kicks. In fact, what I'm going to do in this episode, I'm going to recreate my experiment with the SAE 4400A that we have here for today's episode, just so you can see what the differences are. So this is a recording, let's see. This is a recording of my voice at 8 inches from the mic with no bag and a pop filter. So here we are, we have the bag and the pop filter in place. And this is a recording of my voice 8 inches from the mic with the bag and the pop filter. This is a recording of my voice 8 inches away from the mic, no barriers whatsoever. And lastly, this is a recording of my voice 8 inches from the mic with just the bag and over the top of the mic. So what do you think? I'm guessing if you duplicate the process, when you apply a bag, you'll see a little shift in the high and low frequencies, but the mid should stay fairly true to the standard plot. For me, and one particular project we need to move forward on during these COVID-infested times, the bag over mic solution looks to be just what the doctor ordered. So give it some thought, test it out, play around with it yourself, see what you think. I'll mention one last thing. In the limited 5-mic test I conducted, the dynamic mics had a more drastic frequency shift in the recordings in the condenser. And the end results bothered me enough that I'm eliminating the possible use of condenser or dynamics from our current projects, as the 3 condensers yielded much more predictable results. But again, that was a very small sample. 5 mics is a very small sample to base that decision on, but it was enough for me. I got to move forward and choose what solution I'm going to apply. Also, every mic and thickness of bag will alter the results, as will the snugness of the bag and even the polar pattern used. So to reiterate, make sure you experiment to discover works best for your ears and for your specific project. I hope some of you will report back your findings. I'd be curious to see if you give it a whirl. That wraps up another interesting and slightly weird episode of From A to Global Z. I hope you found value in the information provided, and please tune in for our first episode of 2021 to discover what episode 19 will be about. Might even be about our Phase 2 North American Indigenous Music Project. Until then, happy holidays and happy New Year to you. Please stay healthy, practice social distancing, wear your face covering, and be excellent to each other. As always, wishing you peace through music, I'm Bill Lord.